Well, wrap my brain around it. I think I've got it kind of sort of figured out, maybe slotted in. We'll see how this all goes. I think there should be enough room for a few things in here, and what I may end up doing is I may end up just kind of really being weird with the prioritization on things. I don't know. We'll see how it all goes. For right now, I'm not concerned about it because we're not going to need all of this. We're just going to turn this thing on and try to get it to produce some stuff. And again, it's not even really hooked in yet because we need to be able to fill buffers before we can do anything with this thing. So let's look at all this silly little process that I think I'm going to do for now. This again may the thing I know I'm kind of all over the place, and as always, that's just the way things work with this. The whole process is here. There's multiple ways to make the core fuel, and that's the thing that you need to keep your mind wrapped around while you're playing this deal. You want to make as many ways as you possibly can to make the core fuel, because in this particular instance for fuel, that is the main fuel the reactor needs. So there are multiple ways to do that. There is the recycling of the plutonium to be able to make other, well, from the plutonium from the this stuff right here, which is what the line right here is. We're just going to take the plutonium, we're going to take a little bit of reprocessed uranium, we're going to take that in here. So that's going to come from these. No matter what we do, we're always going to get a little bit of that. So every few minutes, we'll be able to make a little bit more of this. It's currently mad at me because we have a bunch of things shut off. The next step there, again, as we look at it, is going to be the enriched uranium, which is something we can make. This enriched uranium is something we can make. It's just regular enriched uranium, 4%, mixed again with a little bit more hydrogen fluoride will give us, it's going to do this plus a little bit more depleted uranium. This is not a very good, it's not efficient, it's not the most efficient way of doing things. I have since laid down one of these right here, and I need to hook you in. I'm not going to hook it in right now, but I guess we can hook it in. It won't really matter. You go in there, and I probably should put that on a priority splitter. How much is this going to cost us? Well, right now we're doing 2.5, and these take 8, but we're not needing it specifically. I probably should just go ahead and I got a lot on that line. I think we'll probably just not worry about it for right now. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to say if you are, no, 50%, we'll worry about you and then come back. So essentially what we're going to do here is we're just going to bleed the excess off of this line here and dump it into this one so that it can build a slow production of the enriched uranium-20. This is something we're going to need anyway eventually. So we're going to start making it now in the most inefficient way possible, and we're going to do it that way. And then that's going to get shuffled all the way back down the line over here into a chemical plant with this recipe set for it here. So we're also going to take the plutonium that's coming out of this reprocessing plant, put it into this chemical plant, and that's going to make us a 1 for 4 into here. This is wonderful. This is 2 for 4 in here. It's not terrible, but again, there are better, more efficient ways to do that once we get the process going. It's kind of one of those little things where this process has multiple steps and multiple directions for you to be able to make the fuel that you need to keep this thing running, but you have to fill the reactor first, kind of a thing. So that's what we're working on trying to do right now. All right. So the next step again in here is I'm going to take the MOX fuel, and I figured since, this recipe is not going to be happening all of the time, there's no reason for me to make one specifically for the MOX fuel. And to be fair, I could plumb this recipe into there as well, but I don't think I have enough inputs, and we're already, well, I mean, I might have enough inputs. I probably could. Anyhow, we're going to go ahead and immediately process the core fuel that we're going to get out of this thing as well into the same system. So we're going to get the spent core fuel is going to get turned into core fuel plus a little bit of fission product, and they're just going to get shoved into the same system. So I do need to, where are you? I need to hook you up. I moved a couple of things around, and I moved things sideways. You're going to go right there. Good. All right. So the core fuel that will be produced out of the spent core fuel is again going to come up and hit some pipes. We've got a bunch of pipes coming along here. Did I hook that to the right one? No, you didn't. Hang on a second. I'm losing my mind here. The core, this is core. Yeah, I didn't hook it to the right pipe. That is the... That is that. 1 second. I'm doing things wrong again. Where is your output there? Your output needs to get connected here. Nope. Nope. Can I get you through and down? Beautiful. All right. And then you don't need to be hooked to that one. You need to be hooked to the one beside you. This one. There you go. That's what I thought. I accidentally misclicked a couple things. I'm going to use the larger pipes because, well, per however many distance, that pipe holds more stuff, basically. The larger the belt, or the faster the belt, or the pipe, the more it holds internally. So, granted, we can't store the stuff, theoretically, in a tank. I can store it in the pipe as long as the pipe has a nice long run. So our main production for core fuel is going to be happening back here until it gets processed and dumped into here. So I guess that should do that part as far as the core is concerned. Core fuel is done. Core fuel is done. This is going to be turning our first level of blanket fuel up to go. So the majority of our MOX fuel for right now is going to be just turned into, well, I guess I should say the blanket fuel. The majority of the blanket fuel we're going to be making is going to be coming out of our stored up junk that we have sitting here. And once we eat through all 4,000 of that, which is going to be decades from now, it's just going to be one of those kinds of things. We'll stop producing it. There's a little bit left on the line, not a whole lot, but we will stop producing it. We'll start doing all the fun things there. But for now, we're just going to reprocess that MOX fuel into blanket fuel, and then we're going to be putting it into this reactor so that we can get a few more little goodies. I suppose I probably should have that thing start building at this point, because we do need some tanks, and it is expensive. All of this is going to be very, very expensive. It's going to take us a long time to build all of this, which is why I was contemplating just ripping this out. And, well, I guess we'll see whether or not we need it. But anyhow, the final step here is the two reprocessings. Again, the reprocessing of the core fuel spent, which is going to be put into a reprocessing plant to turn back into core fuel and a little bit of fission product, and the enriched uranium or enriched blanket fuel, which is going to be put into a, for now, enrichment plant where we're going to take the blanket fuel and turn it into core fuel and more blanket fuel. There are, again, multiple things you can do with this stuff. We can either turn it directly, we can take 16 of it, turn it into enriched uranium and feed it into the system. We can take 16 of it and turn it into 12 of these and 1 plutonium and feed it into the system. Or we can take and use up a bunch of depleted uranium, which we will probably end up doing eventually, and some salt, and turn that directly into blanket fuel. So that is a way of doing a lot of different things. For now, all I want to do is fill this reactor up full of core fuel and as much blanket fuel as we can, and hope that things don't stop running at this point. I know, it's going to get ugly, and this is going to be a thing that I know I'm going to have to fiddle with over a long period of time, because this is going to need me to continuously babysit it for a while until we can start reprocessing things even further. We are going to have plenty of room to build more stuff right here, and the access should work, so if I do need to build more things, I will be able to move some stuff around in here, I hope. We're also eventually going to need another one of these chemical plants, but I guess for now, we'll just let it go. I'm going to... There's one little thing that I don't need to do, and that is going to be turning on that particular flat lift right now. So we're going to... I'm going to do the dirty and build the tank. Let me see. Do you guys need purple? Yeah, they're all purple. Crap. I'm gonna... I don't even know where to start with this. I guess we do that. And then I want to start doing this, and that. And we're just going to turn it loose and let them build. Knowing that I should have plenty of storage on that flat conveyor to do the work that we need to do. So we'll just let them build all that, and then they're going to have to build a bunch of other stuff. And I suppose, like I said, I might just, for now, not do that, but there. No, I don't want to delete that. Because I think we're done with these. For now. At least part of it. Alrighty, now we're making some more plutonium. They were able to put... I don't know where that would have come from. I didn't think I had anything on the belt at that point. Might have, or they might have found something that was needing to be put somewhere else. Okay, cool. So you're going to do the reprocessing, and once that catches up, it's got a little ways to go. I probably should give it a kick and let it catch up on all of the waste that it has not been able to work on. Did you guys get that built? Okay, so are you working? You're waiting for the one thing that I forgot to hook up, which was that stuff. That's great, because this belt's one of those janky pipe thingies. Hang on. Let me fix that. You need to go through right there and get built. And then that can get hooked to there and get built. All right. And now that's going to very slowly produce some of this enriched uranium 20% that will then be slowly turned into some core fuel over here for us. But there we go. Now we're producing a little bit of core fuel. And how much is in this pipe? Not a whole heck of a lot at this point. How much is in this pipe over to here? We have 16, 18, 19, 20. So I'm going to let that run for a little while. Everything should be good. Once you get caught up, we can unboost you. Nice. Okay, so the next step is I want to start building... Yeah, I want to start reprocessing the MOX fuel. So go ahead and build that one. Just go ahead and just blast it out. No big deal. And then that's going to slowly over time take some of this rather expensive, nasty stuff, this nasty stuff, and plumb it into the first available thing. And that will start producing the blanket fuel that we're going to need in order to be able to turn that reactor on. All right, that wasn't that painful. Why don't you start filling a tank? Get to building, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to hurt because that's a lot of stuff. And we're going to leave it right here for now because in the eventualness, once I get the majority of, I'm probably just going to do this kind of in batches, and we're going to do it in batches over a period of time. Once we get the majority of the MOX spent MOX deleted, removed, reprocessed into blanket fuel, we will start to dismantle this system because we don't need all of this goofiness to run these breeder reactors. We only need a chemical plant, not exact time. If we look at yellow cake can be turned directly into the blanket fuel via this chemical plant, and we can stop doing all of this right here. So that's there's a lot of things we can do there because this is where the process goes and does a bunch of things that they want you to understand. When you can take yellow cake, mix it with a little bit of salt, and turn it directly into blanket fuel. And again, blanket fuel is your magical thing that does all of the things that you need to do, to include the enriched uranium, which will allow us to build the compact reactors in order to bring asteroids back down. So this whole process, all of these little reprocessors, once you are happy with the system and the way it goes and everything is running, you rip all of this out and start over. So it's a complicated process, sure, but once we have one of these up and running, as stable as I can get it on the stuff that we have, meaning I eat up a lot of this, then all I'm going to do is grab a chemical plant, stick it in somewhere down in here probably, feed it some salt, and then it's going to be our feeder for the entirety of this deal, and all of this goes away. So I'm going to let them build that reactor and probably start piping at least one of these lines in so we can start making the enriched stuff. Now, there goes the thing I was afraid of. They're no longer happy with me because of their air pollution. I believe there's something along the lines in here. I forget how this all works. Somewhere they're not very happy with me. And it used to be radiation pollution in here. Because we have the mocks out on a belt, unfortunately, this long line. I mean, I could have tried to get it a little closer, and in reality, I probably should be storing the mocks in one of these other containers and moving it over, back and forward, and whatnot. It is what it is. Did we delete almost all that? No, we still have a year. We're going to have a small problem here, and I need to get this. I probably should have waited until that was built before I started building things. As far as I know, nothing of none of this stuff is reactive. As far as I know, it's not going to cause us any problems. We're just going to end up filling this pipe up nice and full and start processing things. Again, MOX fuel, this stuff is fairly nasty, but again, it shouldn't be. We shouldn't be that miserable right now, guys. Come on. I may have to do the thing that I was thinking I wasn't going to want to do, which is flip. Oh, I need to do the other thing. I'm going to go ahead and set that back up and see if we can't get them to stop being too whiny about stuff. I mean, I understand it's nasty, disgusting, radioactive material that's going to try to eat into their souls, but we can at least rotate some stuff and put it back in a box for a minute until we can get things going. And I think that'll stop most of that. Alrighty then, there goes the next big toy that we get to play with, and there goes the beginnings of some of our fun times and or pain. It should start filling things up, it should start doing stuff. All I need to do now is put a single little smokestack right there just to make sure it can do what it needs to do. We've got the pipes turned on, the generators are being built. Short 100, I forgot I needed to do some things. I did do this. Let's do this one more time. Might have to turn on natural population growth for just a little bit, which is fine. We can do that. There's probably a couple of things I can shut off elsewise. How close can we get? 62. Go ahead and let's see. I need to make sure you guys are priority like 6 at this point and priority 6 at this point. Anything whining in this area needs to be anything power related. We don't want to be losing people. So, especially that one. We can lose people elsewhere. All right, turn on this for now. And I might give them a pop growth by 0.4% if that'll help us. Just need to make sure we watch that for a little bit. Is there anything I can shut down? Yeah, I can get rid of you. We don't need you for now. And that for now. And I knew there was something I needed to do. I redid a couple of things here, and you ended up being messed up. Go get oil. So that should be okay for now. We'll let those regrow, and sure. So then those will all get built. I need to go ahead and pause. No, not pause them. I want to build them. Pause, 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 and pause. And we're going to let all that build for now, and they should start filling up the beautiful. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. That's what I wanted to see, was that thing was going to be nice and full by the time we got to the point where we needed some of the stuff. How much blanket fuel have we produced? Are you still making it good? I am been kind of toggling this on and off, so I'm going to go ahead and do that again and let it kind of fill that belt. And then, oh, I know what you're doing. I didn't want to do that. I need to pause that one. Well, I guess if you're going to do that, just pause that one. And yeah, we'll go from there and try to fill up as much of these as we can while we're sitting here building some stuff. Alrighty then, everything is up. We've got a reactor full of goodness here. At least it looks like we have a reactor full of goodness here. We have at least all the core fuel that we need, and we have a pipe that is somewhat getting filled up with it. Now, we're not going to be able to run this thing flat out for a while, but at least I do have a reactor that's got a lot of fuel in it, and we do, according to that, have 60 blanket fuel in it to do some stuff. Now, again, this is just a simple little thing that we're going to play with. We are going to turn on the automatic regulator thing. However, I want this to be our priority, meaning it's going to run all the time, no matter what. So the lowest priority I believe we have is 4 at this point. I want all of these to be 3. And I'm just going to let it auto-regulate so that I don't screw up later on and forget that I had it auto-regulated or didn't have it auto-regulated. Copy. Paste. Did that work? Okay, good. So we should have enough people at this point. I'm going to go doink, 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 and doink. I want this thing to, again, just run. That's all we want it to do for a little while right now, because as soon as we can start to produce a decent amount of, I knew it. I knew it. You tried to get me again, you silly game. Get it done. Build. As soon as we can get enough of the blanket fuel being produced, we can then start making a lot of the core fuel and basically running the silly cycle over and over and over and over again until I can be able to, instead of be doing this process for the enriched uranium, I can then do the other process for enriched uranium to be able to make the core fuel. Because essentially that's how we're going to be making our core fuel for the most part, is this recipe right here. So, I know this is probably going to be an incredibly long episode, and I didn't intend to do it all in one go, but I'm going to do it all in one go because we need to get this going so that we can do some more fun things. Now, yes, I am going to kind of have to toggle this back and forth. Unfortunately, this belt is just long enough that I may end up having to modify a few things here and change a couple of things around. The belt is just long enough that we're getting radiation pollution because of that belt right there. That's the sad part. That's the problem. And it's going to be something I'm going to have to figure out how I want to work on. For right now, what we're going to do is we're going to just do this, and I'm just going to keep toggling this on and off. It will eat this reasonably quickly. Not that one. I want you to be boosted. I probably should have set 2 of these up, but again, it's going to run this one and then run these. So we're just going to kick that thing onto a boost and let it just kind of work its way through things. But let's turn a reactor on if we can and gain a little bit of power. So I'm going to start with just 96 for right now, because 96 is only going to consume 4 core fuel every time it runs or however it goes. So that's going to then be pushed out of here, I hope. Right? Why are you not connected to what? Oh, right. Yeah, I moved some things over. I knew I was forgetting something. Can you get through? You can do this. There. And there. Just get built. Unpause. Go ahead. I did manage to leave the natural population growth on for quite a long time. Unfortunately, that's fine. They'll be okay. All right. Output steam depleted. You should have one. Oh, I missed that one. Okay. No, I don't want you to connect to that. I want you to... This one there. Build. Go. No, no. Pause. Don't build that one. We're fine. Undo the construction. Thank you. All right, so there we go. She's going to start running through some of the fuel, produce a little bit of steam, make some power. And most importantly, what we're doing right now is we're doing just the maxed amount of steam produced that we can get out of the thing and fuel consumed. Now, you can adjust this by delivering it down to a 3 times where it produces less steam, but it will produce more blanket fuel or the enriched stuff. So for right now, we're just going to run it as we need it to run, and then I'll have to do a whole bunch of planning and piping and things. But yes, we should now have a breeder reactor running, making power, helping us out, which means I can shut you down, please. This is also not helping. That particular chimney produces an awful lot of pollution when it runs, and that's another thing that's not making them very happy, because the air pollution gets pretty ugly very quickly when that thing runs. So we're going to have to, again, fiddle around with this and see. I want to actually see if maybe that was their problem. Can I unpause you now? Will you be happy and be okay with me leaving that? Because I've played with this before when we run real hard and that particular chimney comes online, they do not like it. So we'll see where we go with that. If that'll make them happy, and we'll run this just for a little while, we should be making a lot of core fuel, or at least a decent amount of core fuel. And we should... I think at this point I am making enough to keep it running. I think. I'm not 100% certain. So if I hit pause and we go to there, okay, that's what I was afraid of. So it is going to be 16 total on that level. All right, I need to let boxes and things fill up. We need to produce a whole bunch of purple mechanical constructional parts kind of things. And yeah, I might put these back because I don't need them doing this anymore. I want to make sure these are... We'll put those back for now. You guys can build that so that we can do what we need to do. They can... I just removed that because they had to drive around it to keep building all of this. All right, so now the excess water we're probably going to have an issue with. So I am taking the water from this. We're going to run it through a cooling tower, and I think what is going to happen over time is I am going to go back to running these on a specific system of steam, whereas I might actually use the byproduct or the off product of one of these. So like 96 steam is an awful lot to run a lot of power, at least as far as water is concerned. We can take the, like I said, I can kick this up to the next level and run 96 steam worth of stuff into a few of these, and we'd make a lot of water instead of wasting a lot of power, or at least the power that we're doing right now. So I'm going to let that run for a little while, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see how things go. I think it was probably just that chimney over here they weren't happy with, and in which case, if that is the case, this is all gone, and yeah, we can just delete you guys, and we will not worry about having a backup anymore. So that's cool. That's fine. We can go from there. Alrighty, well, that's going to be the beginning of this project. We will be continuing to turn things on as we are capable of building things. I think I'm going to, again, this in between episodes, let this run for a little while and see what we can come up with as far as stuff goes, because I believe actually I need to... No, we should be good there. 96 steam should be 2 of these running pretty much maxed out all the time. And yeah, I think we're fine. So I will just kind of slowly over time add more and more and more to this mess. And then we'll go from there. So I will talk to you all later. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this thing doesn't die on me. I don't know. We'll see. Talk to you later. Bye. You know, I think I know what it is. This belt only has 25 on it, but this has... So there's technically 45 sitting out in the air right now. 45, and then whatever's in this. Oh my god. Yeah, we may need to...